my background's a little different like yours is restaurant. I used to operate retirement homes. Did that what it feels like another life. And left that industry really to help people understand how to stay in their homes and not move into a retirement community. So a lot of the design that I had focused on initially, still do, has to do with helping people remain in their home as they age in place. And that really spawned into universal design, which is for the entire family, so from cradle to grave. And that's what's really kind of launched my career. I was at Dave Fox. I used to operate Dave Fox for 12 years. You may know that company, they're a NARI member. And then J.S. Brown recently was operating J.S. Brown and left and launched Element One earlier this year, which is a design build firm as well. So did that really out of the spirit of wanting to continue a legacy in the market that's very healthy, of good quality. And it sounds like all of you are along the same lines of putting quality in people's homes and good customer service. And so today, what I want to talk to you about is just really an approach that either I've developed over the years or learned from others that really helps with connecting to a higher end consumer. Some of you may have been in this industry for a long time, maybe newer to the industry, but a lot of the nuggets of what I'm going to share with you are an approach that I take that really help build rapport with individuals, because it's really going to be about the relationship that you form that separates you from other people. At the end of the day, the person who's sitting in front of them, since you go in and you run sales appointments, they make the decision based on you more so than the company when you're in front of them. So we'll talk about that. But the good news, so I want you all to just kind of relax. Okay, we only sell the most difficult product there is to sell. So if you think about it, we are not selling a thing. We're not selling something that smells good. We're not selling something you can touch and feel. Let's talk about the remodeling industry for a second and see where it all starts. So it all starts really with a perceived need that's really a want. Are any of you in the disaster recovery business? No. So we're in the want business. Nobody needs what we have. Not one person needs what we have when you really boil it down. So we're in an industry where we develop a desire or a want, or they see something that inspires them and they say, I want that. Or in their head they might say, I really need that, or we need a new kitchen. But at the end of the day, if they can prepare a meal and they can work in that kitchen and they have been preparing meals, they don't need it, they want it. So what we need to do is recognize that there's a desire, there's something there that's making them feel like they need to make a change, first and foremost. So when we look at this, what we do is sometimes there's samples and images, things that we show them that inspire them, right? People say I have a Pinterest book or house file created just to give you some ideas, because they're getting stimulated by the thought of change. So the reason for the change generally stems from something else, not just the image. Okay, because when you walk, how many of you walked into a home that's still 1950s, 60s, 70s, right? And they've been living in the house for 20 years, 30 years. It needed remodeled 20 years ago. It needed remodeled 15 years ago. What's different? What is it that's changed? And your job is to try to understand what is it that's changed in life. Not, oh, I can see that this is outdated. That clearly is why you'd want to do it. What was 15 years ago? What was 20 years ago? What is it that's changed? And so if you listen and you pay attention to that, you'll find out what that is. That's when you make your real connection. So what we do is also we provide plans and renderings that articulates really what that personalized solution is. Those are things that we present to them, or just ideas. So if you're in a cabinet shop, you're doing cabinet drawings and it has them go, okay, but they might see that little cabinet in the corner and go, okay, that's what it's going to be. Well, that's not their kitchen, right? So they're not connecting to it entirely, but you're selling an investment is presented to enhance the homeowner's future. That's really what we're doing. We're not saying tomorrow. TV does this very well, right? While you're out, you know, you leave for dinner and you come back and your house is remodeled. Well, that's not reality. So you watch a TV show and you watch this conversion. It happens very quickly. You say this project took 3 weeks, or there's a lot of that glamorizing on television that misleads homeowners into believing the time frame is really quick, or you know, this is going to be a change, or it's not inconvenient, it's total fun the whole time. So in a luxury market, we also have to relate to the luxury lifestyle that people have and how we're going to inconvenience that for a period of time. All right, so the homeowner cannot experience this. They can't touch it. They can't see or feel the real new space before it's constructed. They can't go into their kitchen. They can't go into the addition. They can't go into a bathroom, a basement, a wine room. They can't go into any of those spaces and say, okay, yep, this is it. Snap your fingers and it's in my house. So they might be making decisions based on images or whatever it may. So I always tell them, you're taking a leap of faith. When you work with me, you're taking a leap of faith. I'm going to help you get to the finish line. I'm going to help you get through this journey and help you make those right decisions and make it comfortable for you. So it is a leap of faith, ultimately, that you're asking them to take, because they're jumping into something that is really going to be difficult for them at some point. The reality of it is. We'll talk about that later with setting expectations in a different one. So here, this is, there's no guys in here, and so some of you, if you like cars, you'll like this, but an image piques your interest, right? So a Lamborghini. How many of you sell projects that are over $300,000? Come on, you all do, right? I mean, $250,000, somewhere in that area. You got projects in that price tag range. Well, a Lamborghini's in that ballpark. Someone could go out and they can get inside this car, they can look at it and they can go, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. But really where the rubber meets the road, no pun intended, is the experience. So the experience inspires an investment. So if you go to a car dealership, this is why this is so hard what we do. No one can test drive what we do. You can go to a car dealership where there's high priced items, luxury goods, BMWs, whatever. If you ever walk up to a client's house, look in their garage, survey the scene, see what cars they have in there. What decisions have they previously made emotionally? Because a huge SUV gets you to the same place that a Ford Focus does. Really does. Takes gas or electricity, whatever it might be. That takes the same thing to get you somewhere. So they made a decision to spend their money, in case of a car, not invest it, into something that isn't going to give them the return on the investment other than the emotional feeling they have from buying it. So when you look at things like this, they were able to emotionally engage because they smelled the inside of the car, they felt the steering wheel, they took a turn at 70 miles per hour and giggled through it and went, oh my gosh, I'd love to feel this every day I drive to work. So they spend $250,000 on an automobile, which we're trying to sell them $250,000 on a change to their home, that they expect a full return on the investment. How many people say, I don't want to over-improve my home, I want to get my money out of it? You don't hear that before? Yeah. So are they going to get the money back from this? No, they definitely won't. But they might get the experience from it that they say that was worth it. Okay, because they experienced something that was wonderful. So with remodeling sales, when we go in, I've said this for a very long time, we're not there to sell, we're there to solve. Okay, that's what forces us to be more creative than others. We're not there to sell something, we're there to solve something. All right, let's go back to what I said. If a kitchen's outdated or a home is outdated in 1970, you're not there to sell them a new kitchen. You're there to figure out why they want a new kitchen. What's changed? You're there to solve something. So it's going to take some patience on your part to figure out what in the world it is. So the sale is the byproduct of a solve. Okay, so if you go in thinking I got to sell something, you forget to solve anything, and you wonder, why am I not selling anything? Shift your mentality. Shift it to, I'm going in to figure out why they would have me here in the first place. Why do they have me out to their house? Why do they even want to go through remodeling? You know what it's like. You know the headaches that are there. You know the dust that flies. Everything about remodeling is terrible until it's done. It can be fun, but it's pretty difficult until it's done. You don't get to test drive the car until it's completely built. So you make this big investment before you can test drive what we do. So we have to figure out why we're there in the first place. And always be yourself. And I can tell you about some salespeople I've worked with and trained in the past where we sit down and I love them, hire them because, oh wow, what a great personality, what a wonderful person. I just love who they are. They're gonna do so well in front of a client. And we go out and we run an appointment together and I say, go for it, do your thing. And they become a different person, become a salesperson. They think they have to posture different. They think they have to communicate different. They think they have to be someone else for someone else. And they don't. You just need to be yourself. I didn't hire you to become someone else. We didn't bring you on board to become someone else. Be yourself. You've got characteristics. You have your own story. You have a great story. I just talked to you for 10 seconds, Jen, about the restaurant industry. You have a gift that not everyone in here does to bring that industry and reasoning into your story. Mm-hmm. It builds rapport. And so when you're telling your story, people go, that's a real person. It's not a salesperson, it's a real person. They have a journey that they've been on. And that's really good stuff to share with people. luxury people want to feel this, trust. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. Yeah, I've said that to everybody forever. It's not my quote, but it's one I stole from somebody, and I tell this to everyone. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. If you're out there spouting all this stuff out, selling, people don't care. They want to know that you care. Okay, so we're going to talk about how we do that in just a second. But think about that when you've talked to people who are trying to sell you something, salespeople, right? Many of us are salespeople in the room. And we go, oh God, I hate salespeople. I mean, when you go into a place and they come up to you and like, how can I help you? You know, they're all over you. They're like a wet blanket on you because they want to sell something. But then there's also really good salespeople. They're more passive about it. And they say, you know, what is it that I can help with, or what is it you're looking for? And they are more supportive in helping you make a decision, or they lay off a little bit. There isn't as much pressure. I mean, with the technology we have today, we have the ability to do research. You can count on every person that you encounter in a sales meeting or first meeting or whatever it is. They've done their research on your company, right? They didn't call you because they go, I know Jen works there. Well, they might eventually when there's referrals coming in, but they're not gonna call, pick up the phone and say, I really wanna talk to Jen. They've done research on the company and they wanna talk to somebody. Who that somebody is critical to your company's success. Absolutely critical. Because if you're going out and I'm going out, and you're going out, and you're going out, everybody's going out to meet these clients, all of our companies are good. Pam made sure of that or we wouldn't be NARI members. So we're all very good companies, but it really boils down to who's gonna do what we have on the screen. Build the most trust, let them know that you care, because that's really where the rubber meets the road in this. So let's talk about how we do that. So take inventory of the environment. One of the things I do the second I walk in the home, my head's on a swivel. I get my eye contact, I greet them, fist bump now, you know, you don't do anything beyond that much anymore. And you look at them through the mask, you see the whites of their eyes, which is outstanding. And you have a small talk because it's always awkward. They're like, okay, they're here. And some people are very welcoming, and we'll talk about what that means, their body language here in a second. But look around, see what their framed pictures are on the wall. See what they have in the room right there immediately available to you to take inventory of in your head. Do they have framed photos? Is there family in those photos? Are they pictures of places they've been where you see the Amalfi Coast, or you see, you know, the palm tree with the hammock hanging in it, or do you see something that's the family or pets or, you know, different things? Sometimes there's artwork. Sometimes the artwork is landscape, sometimes it's still life, sometimes it's impressionism. There's all the different styles. Sometimes it's very contemporary, like over on the wall here. It tells something about the individual from a design standpoint as well, but it tells you something about that individual, what makes them tick. So what's laying around? Are there toys everywhere? What does that tell you? What stage of life are they in if there's toys everywhere? Either they're just big kids without kids, or they got kids. So you see all the toys strewn around, and you know what that's like. Anyone who has kids, I have 3 daughters, so got experience of knowing what those stages are you go through for life, where you can't walk through a room with the lights out or you're gonna, you know, penetrate your foot with a toy. And so, are there toys around? Are there books? Are they intellectual? Are there piles of clothes? Are they clutter bugs? Did they clean the house up for you before you arrived, or did they just say, I don't really care? Because everybody apologizes for the home, don't they? Like, I'm so sorry, it's such a mess. We didn't have time to make excuses. And I say, it's okay, don't worry about it. You know, these make great before pictures. Get them laughing a little bit. I was like, the more cluttered it is, the better it is for my before pictures. And it puts them at ease a little bit, because it's really what you want to do. They think you're there to sell them something. All right, everybody thinks that when you walk in, you're there to sell them something, and they're afraid of that. So if you're there to shift that mentality and shift that focus to solving something, let them know you can put them at ease. So what's the ambiance? Is it cluttered? Did they light candles for you, put music on? Is there a great smell coming from the oven where they baked and they want you to feel like you're in a home that you'd be proud to work in? Or are there screaming children? Are there attack dogs? You know, everybody seems to have dogs in Columbus, Ohio. And you know, are there pets? Because what do pets mean for us? Everybody know? You gotta extend your care plan now for not beyond remodeling. You gotta figure out how to remodel with a pet in the house. You can't have cats getting stuck in ductwork. Believe me, I've had that phone call. It's not a good one. You got dogs that want to be all over everyone who walks in the door. Are they a flight risk? Dogs pets get stressed. When there's demolition, pets are stressed. So we've got to be thinking ahead. Talk to them about their pets. Acknowledge their pets. You don't have to like dogs. You don't have to like cats. You don't have to like hamsters. You don't have to like fish. You don't have to like any pets. We have to understand what our job is in caring for the pet, because that's their family member. Whether it be a fish or not, it's a family member. And so if we're looking at the broadness of who the family really is, and the other people that we are going to impact by being in their home, we start setting the stage for our care plan for them. Remember, they don't care what you know until they know that you care. So talk about the things that are in their environment. Talk about the children. Talk about how you manage. Those are all things that I'm going to talk about in just a second here. And we screw up. So what you see tells you who they are, so you can break the ice. Yeah, a little icebreaker moment is something that's really important. Now, I'm a movie guy. I love to watch movies. I like comedies, I like action, I like a little bit of everything. One of my favorite movies, it's the best sales training movie I've ever seen, is Tommy Boy. So if you've seen Tommy Boy, yeah, there you go, you know how good of a sales training movie that really is. So Tommy Boy might be the best. If you haven't seen it, watch it, because you'll learn everything you need to know about sales. There's Tommy out in the parties with his little naughty hat. If you've seen that scene, he's talking about how he destroys his sales. He's got his naughty pat, and he massages it, he destroys it, right? He does something wrong. And then right after that, he gets the waitress to turn the fryer on and make him chicken wings, right? Because he was himself. He was the goofball that told a story that was realistic. And it gets her to turn the fryer, and he got someone to buy into what he was talking about, out of his lunacy in this case. So don't go crazy and light stuff on fire like he does, but take lead in the process, okay? Don't let the homeowner tell you how to run your appointment. And what I mean by that is, when you come in, there's always that moment where they're like, do you want to go see the project area, or do you want to chat? Or sit down and talk, or go to the kitchen and sit down. Always take that, in my opinion, always take the opportunity to sit and talk. Because what you're going to do is you're going to put them at ease, so when you go see the areas that you're going to be remodeling, they're more relaxed. They're going to share a little bit more. They're going to feel more at ease with you. So just go talk. Chat about things. Remember all the things that you took in, the images. If there's a picture of a boat, I talk about boating. I grew up boating. I love boating, sailing. If I ever see a picture of a sailboat, boy, we talk about sailing. And people love to talk about the stuff that they love. Isn't it funny? They love to talk about their kids. I've got 3 daughters, so I can talk about my daughters. They see I'm real. They see I put my pants on the same way. Not there to sell them anything. There to solve something. The only way I can solve anything is if we get to know each other and we relax a little bit in that process. So take your time to chat with them. Always do that. And what you do next will determine whether you win or lose their business. Okay? So this is where people usually kill it in a bad way, not kill it in a good way, is what happens next. So you've done all these great things. You sit down and you talk, and then how many of you have like a pitch book or a tablet or something where you go through things on your company, or you show them things? Anybody have that? What do you use? Just talk to them?
If people ask if we have anything, we have like marketing folders that we have a leave behind that have just some general information with pictures of projects that we've done, but it's not any, like, we don't take any material or anything like that in.
So some people take things out or have things that they're going to share to show examples of work or projects, plans. They might be how you do specifications, or what a construction agreement or contract looks like. Sometimes you have those things in here. Pitch books are a thing kind of in the past. See, it says Smooth Talker. Be careful with these things if you have them. Use them wisely, okay? So what I would do is stop using a pitch book page by page, where you're literally going page by page with something and flipping through. I came from a company where they have pitch books where they go page by page by page. I'm going, maybe a third of those pages are relevant to this situation, but 100% of the pages are relevant to use over a wider, more widely spread area, but not in an isolated situation. So that's all good information. So back to movies, okay? Tommy Boy's a hard one to get off of because it's so wonderful. But another one that I really like, and do any of you like superhero movies? Come on, oh, thank you. At least someone does. All right. Now, when there's guys in here, they're like, yeah, I like superhero movies. Go Hulk, all this stuff. And I grew up as a kid reading comic books, and I always liked comic book characters. It was always really fun and fascinating. So when all the movies started being made, that was really cool. One of them that really stood out from a sales standpoint, again, because I'm always finding something in a movie that's relevant is the vendors. And one of the vendors is Blackhawk. Does anyone know who Blackhawk is? You might be my only person that could answer questions right now.
I've only seen up to Iron Man.
Oh, shoot, see, no.
Sorry.
The rest of this presentation is gonna stink, so, it is what it is, but okay, Blackhawk, let's meet Blackhawk for a minute. Blackhawk's the archer, okay? He's so cool. You know Blackhawk, you gotta see this. So Blackhawk is really cool, he's an archer, he's a really cool guy. He doesn't have the strength of Hulk or the Thor's hammer or any of those things, or Iron Man himself. He's just he can just shoot arrows, okay? It doesn't sound too great, but let's take a look at his quiver, okay? Let's just take a look at this. You ever hear this mentality? Ready, fire, aim. That's where we're just shooting things haphazardly, okay? So I try to look at sales as I'm Blackhawk, all right? Because I'm just a dad, but I like to be a superhero sometimes, and sometimes they used to when they were little think I was a superhero, not anymore. So look at what he's got. He's got this quiver back there. That's the thing your arrow's going, all right? And so in that initial meeting, when you're talking to people, you're loading arrows. I call them arrows. I let the clients hand me the arrows, right? So know which arrows are. And so he's got a tip for everything. This is what's cool. There's all tips for his arrows. They're not just the points, not just shooting a point to stick into somebody. They all have a purpose. Every single tip has a purpose. So looking at Blackhawk in action here, he's using different tips. So he has one here where he's just getting ready to fire. He's got one, he's falling off a building. Oh no, he's gonna die. Or is he? He's got an arrow that he grabs out of his quiver that has a grappling hook on it, and he shoots it up there and grabs the side of the building, and he swings over the building and climbs in, and he's safe. And he knew it when he was falling. He wasn't afraid at all. He knew he had the right arrow, and he grabbed the right arrow. He also, here he is, and sorry, these are blurry, but he's not just shooting, he's looking over here going, I gotta fire the next arrow after I launch this one, and what's it gonna be? Well, I'm gonna grab 3 arrows, because there's 3 things coming at me, and I'm shoot all 3 of those things. All right, it's very intentional. So if you think about this, he's also got one that's a USB, and that's in the first Avengers, and if you saw that, you would know. He's trying to capture some information, and he's got an arrow, and he reaches in and he shoots it across the room, and it goes right into a USB port, like right into a computer. Perfect shot, because he doesn't miss. That's the other thing about it, he's not gonna miss. So he shoots this USB thing in there, starts downloading the information. So imagine if he grabbed the arrow that has the exploding tip on it, and he just shoots that one, and he hits the USB drive and blows it up. Mission failed, didn't get the information that he needed. He shoots the wrong arrow. So where am I going with this? You're probably all like, okay, maybe I'll just see the movie, maybe not, but because it's definitely more entertaining than me yapping about it. But here we go, know your arrows, all right, because that's really what you're doing. A pitch book is all your arrows packed up sometimes, or a tablet, or whatever you use, or the marketing brochure, all the things that are online. When they go and they research you, the homeowner's already done their homework, they see your arrows that you have there. Some of them are important, other ones they don't care. They aren't important. It's an exploding tip that they don't need. So know your arrows, and your arrows are this, your company. So there's arrows within each one of these. Know your company's arrows, know your competition's arrows. Okay, competition's good. Know your trades, your vendors, your extended team, know the products that you use very well, and then know the investment arrows as well. All these come up in your conversation. These topics come up in your conversation with a homeowner. Remember, you're trying to earn business. So if you're trying to earn business in an upscale market, high-end consumer, you have to know these things. But you have to know which arrow to grab at the right time. So how do you do that? This is the hardest thing for salespeople to do. Listen, 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 right? Just take your time and listen. Be patient. If you know your arrows, only load the ones you need. Have that prospect load the arrows for you. As you're listening, they're telling you what's important to them. You go, I got an arrow for that. And they tell you something else, you go, I know which arrow to load in the quiver there. But be patient, don't go firing right away. I've had salespeople where they get into sales mode as soon as they hear an opportunity to shoot an arrow, they do it right away. They respond immediately. Just be patient. That's the thing, it's so critical. It's where people screw this up most. You might fire an arrow, but you don't take in all the information to know, should I have grabbed the 3 arrows? Or am I falling off the building right now and I need rescue? Because if you grab the wrong arrow and you're falling off the building, and again, you shoot your USB one at the ledge of the building, it's just gonna go boink, and you're splatted on the sidewalk. So it's really important you know your arrows and you know when to use them. So don't go page by page of a pitch book. Don't ever do that. If your employer hands you a book that says, this is us, tell them all about it. I remember when I bought a water softener, it was a rain soft system. And this guy came in and he sat down with my wife and I, and it was the most boring, horrific presentation I've ever been through. And I looked at my watch, back when I used to wear one, constantly. I was like, oh my God. And I'd see how much more there still was. I could see his binder, and I wasn't listening. Because I was thinking about, when is this thing gonna be done? And he just kept going. It's about water quality, it's about this, it's about, all these things. Some of it was relevant and useful, but a lot of it really was not. So it was just kind of, it droned on and it disengaged my wife and I. So there wasn't a great connection there. Once you've heard everything, and there's gonna be more that comes, because throughout the process, they might load more arrows after you fired some, but be patient before firing your first ones. All right, so fire. And when you do, talk about the things, your company. When you talk about your company, some of those arrows are process arrows. They may say, how do you do things anyway? How do you approach projects? All right, Cleary Company, you have different layers of people than Dave Fox does. You have different layers of people that service the client than Stellar does. We're all different. We're all very good at what we do, but we may have a different process. And that process, based on what you heard, you may have something in that process where you go, this is actually something I think they'll really gravitate to. I've got an arrow for that. This is how we communicate, whatever it might be. The people arrows, we have people that do this. We have resources to be able to meet what you just said is important to you. If you've listened well, you go, here's an arrow for that one. They have an inherent need for something, unique elements, whatever it might be that's special to your company. Is there something about the age of your company? Is there something about what you do in the community that's unique that might gravitate? Just because you give 10% of your profits to a charity doesn't mean you have to tell everybody on the planet about it. Some people might go, great, so you're charging me 10% more so you can give 10% to the community. Be careful. Be careful what you tell people because of what they may perceive from what you're telling them. So try to understand a little bit more about them. You may have Russell. You may talk about, we have Russell the dog, and he's in our office, and someone might be terrified of dogs and go, oh God, I don't want to go in there. They're all dog people. What weirdos. Well, if they knew Russell, geez, you don't want them as a client anyway, right? But you'll be the strongest arrow. So that's something that falls on the shoulders of your company to make sure that they've got the strongest arrows they're firing into the market to understand then how to be more finite with it. So let's talk about our competition. Competition's really good, all right? Some people say competition's bad, we're enemies, we should be battling each other. Well, if that were the case, I wouldn't stand here and tell you some of the things I think will improve the way that you present the clients. I keep that to myself. But competition is really good. And we've got really good people in this market, and they're NARI members who are serving the community, which right now there's an abundance. There's a huge amount of work we can't get done. So if we know each other, there have been times, believe it or not, where I meet with a client and I go, I think I know who might be a better fit than us, and I'll refer them. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. If I refer someone to Cleary because there's something about that process that I know that might serve that person better, if I've done my best job and I go, I just don't know that this is a fit for us, but I do believe they may be here, refer them. Because here's the thing, you refer them to someone good, they're gonna be grateful for that. All you're doing is farming. You're planting a seed for building something down the road. Because if I refer someone to Cleary and did a good job, that person may say, hey, I initially had talked to Bryce over at Element 1, and he was super helpful. You may want to at least talk to him because he'll be honest with you. That's all I care about. Now, if I'm honest with them and I point them in the right direction and it's helpful, I did my job because I have more work than I know what to do with. I know you're all in that same boat. You've got more work than you know what to do with. It doesn't mean you're trying to get rid of it, but align your company with the right work. And align consumers with the right options of where they should work if you know your competition. So get to know them. Never criticize them, ever, ever. It's the worst move you could ever make is if you're in a meeting and they say, tell me what you know of Stellar. And I go, oh, geez, yeah, they haven't been around very long. I don't know, they have a woman running the place who was just flipping burgers somewhere, 6 months ago. One, that's not accurate in any shape or form, but I just threw you guys under the bus and don't really know jack about it. So what that does to that person is they might go, oh, wow, yeah, I don't know, maybe I should research seller more, but do I really trust this guy if he's gonna throw someone under the bus? If I don't know a company, I don't say anything about them. I say, I'm not really familiar with them. You probably wanna just get to know them a little bit better. If someone says, we're talking to Clear, okay? I say, great company, love George, you're gonna be in good hands. I guarantee it. The good news is, if you're talking to me and you're talking to him, you will get taken care of. I promise you. It really boils down to who's sitting in front of you feel most comfortable with. I say that all the time. Because I want them to know, I'll be taken care of. I feel good. Whew. This guy just said, Cleary's good, and I've talked to him. They just said, Fox is good. They just said, Stellar's really good. It's in the name. It gotta be good, right? You don't wanna screw that one up. So, why throw someone under the bus? Because it will disengage you from a client, the right client. All right, so compliment, and it really does boil down to the arrow the company sent out to be in front of that client. Do your job, and nothing else matters. It really doesn't. So don't criticize anybody, throw them under the bus. Wouldn't do that. A bad idea. Trades, vendors, all your partners. These are people who are part of your team. They're your extended team. So you're only as good as your weakest link. So are you aligned right? Are you getting your cabinets from the right place? Are you getting your tile the right place? Are you constantly let down by the company that does your fireplaces? Are there expectations you have set that your clients expect from you that aren't being delivered through your trades? Are you taking good care of them? Are you going to your trades and your vendors? So trades, some people call them subcontractors. I call my trade partners because they are my partners, not my subs, they're not below me. So trade partners and vendors are your team. They're your company. Okay, they may not wear your shirt, they may not have your business card, but they are your company. They represent you. And so is there clarity that you've established as a company with these individuals to say, here's what we do for our clients, here's how we serve our clients, here's what we expect from you, but what do you expect from us? If you're not taking that next step, what do you expect from us? You're missing an opportunity. It's probably gonna bite you at some point. I always ask my trade partners, I always ask my vendors, what do you need from us to be effective? What do you need from us to say, I love working with you? What level of detail do you need when we talk to you? What communication do you need after that? How do we work with you best to be successful? Because this business is hard. This business is very, very hard to get right. We don't do one piece, we do it all. And we have to get all the cylinders firing or it can fall apart right under our feet. And then what happens? The client is upset. We're gonna talk about that in setting expectations later today, about how we establish those expectations. We're gonna talk a little bit about them coming up here, just a teaser. So then the investment, isn't this the fun part? How many of you love talking money? I know Pam, because she's always taking it from all of us. You like talking money?
I do.
Okay, what do you like about it?
I like that people can utilize it to build facets of their lives that can be extended on as part of their legacy.
Say that last part?
That they're able to extend it on as part of their legacy.
Oh, true.
So
Yep.
when we do remodeling, I answer the phone at Kitchen Craft.
Mhm.
So I ask people, how much are you thinking of putting into your investment?
Mhm.
That's my way of saying how much is your budget. And I try to paint the picture that, we're gonna do the best possible job and we're gonna cater to their needs. And I really enjoy that part of it.
Yeah, good.
And in my personal life, I really enjoy helping my siblings with things. And, cause they have children, they wanna leave something behind. So, and a home, it could very well be that thing, more than likely not, but, it's all about that presentation and it is an investment, what we do for our clients.
Yeah.
That's what I like about money.
Yep.
That's a good way to put it. I like the way I wrote that down.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think this is always the sensitive part, right? Because they're gonna have to pay for this eventually.
Darn.
And so as we're having the conversation, this is also where some salespeople struggle because they're afraid to tell them what they think it might cost. And the other part is, it's hard to know what that range is when you don't know what backsplash they have, you don't know what countertop material, you don't know the cabinets what's going into the cabinets, and you haven't looked at the structure well enough to know, is this load bearing, is it not, are there mechanicals in this wall, are there wires, is there blah, 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 you know how it goes on and on and on. And so it's difficult when someone, and they always say this, you've heard it, I guarantee it, where they're like, just a ballpark range, I won't hold you to anything. Bull crap. You know, as soon as I tell you something, you're gonna say, well, you told me it was this much. They say it all the time, I won't hold you to a thing. And I just tell them, I hate this part. I literally say that to them. I say, you know what, I hate this part, because I wanna do your project right. And the project produces an investment, okay? If you have a budget, share it with me. Have you discussed what you're comfortable investing in this project? That's what I ask. That's my way of saying which budget. Have you discussed what you're comfortable investing in this project? And sometimes they're like, we have no idea. You know, you get that one. Okay, you wanna know how to disprove that one in a hurry? Say if I told you this is $150,000, would you be okay with that? No way. You got a budget, okay? You have a budget. You had one. So what is it that's important to you? Or there's tools as well, which we're gonna talk about that in setting expectations. So cost versus value and some other tools that are really helpful for all of us to get off the hook. And you don't wanna be stuck there saying, here's what my number is within 5% or anything like that. That's a really difficult way of doing it. You're setting yourself up for failure and the client if you're really trying to pinpoint a number. So that conversation is vague. If they want it done right and they've done their research, many people have an appropriate budget. But talk about how you arrive at that investment or what they're comfortable investing in it. Some people, there's financial gain and personal gain. I have this conversation a lot when I hear, we don't want to over-improve our home. I say, that's a thing of the past. You're gonna over-improve your home. It's gonna happen, okay? You wanna go buy a 2x4, you just over-improve your home because 2x4s are ridiculously expensive right now. Everything is. So you're gonna over-improve your home financially for a while. If you're trying to flip your home, bad idea. Okay, using us, bad idea. But if you're planning to live there, let's talk about this. Have you taken a vacation? How many of you took a vacation last year? They all get canceled. You took a vacation, where'd you go?
Did you go?
I went to Florida a couple times, but
Okay.
with my mask on, it was really safe.
I was gonna say, you're the one that brought it back.
It's
Gosh
good.
darn.
I never had.
Margo's
Just
awesome.
Knock on
Social
wood.
distancing at the beach.
So who else took a vacation last year? Where'd you go?
Myrtle Beach.
Where?
Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach, okay. So you went down there, how long were you there?
A week.
You were there a week, and you probably had to pay for it, right?
Mhm.
And how much can you sell that vacation for?
I don't know.
Now that you're back, what's your return on investment
None.
financially?
None.
None, okay. What do you have to show for that vacation?
Pictures?
Some cute pics.
T-shirt maybe?
My kids do, not me.
Okay, so right, you might have a T-shirt, you might have pictures, but why do you take a vacation then? If you get nothing financially back for it, why would you do it?
For fun, for thorough.
So we do that, right? So there's a return on investment. We spend our money or invest our money in our mental health, our well-being, R&R. It's important to people to get that back. But when people look at their home, they look at it different than anything else that we buy. Anything else that we buy, except maybe investments themselves. So that's off the table. But your home, an asset that you purchase, we view that completely different than we do our car, or we wouldn't buy cars. If you looked at your car the same way you do your home, no one would be driving a car anywhere in the world. They just wouldn't do it. Because they'd say, well, as soon as I buy this thing and I drive it off the lot, I've lost money. So that mentality doesn't apply to cars, it doesn't to vacations, it doesn't apply to anything. So that personal gain, that goes back to why am I here in the first place? This was outdated 20 years ago. Why am I here in the first place? What are you looking to change? There's something they're looking to change in their quality of life. There are those little stressors that we have. Every time I turn on a coffee maker and use the microwave, the circuit blows. Just dumb things like that. People live with those things. That's about to change with a kitchen remodel or an addition or whatever it might be, or we're always crammed in here. You hear all those things about how people live in the home and how the home doesn't accommodate them appropriately. Precisely back to assisted living. Had people moving into retirement communities that weren't ready to move in. They didn't want to, couldn't get up the flight of stairs, couldn't get over the edge of the tub. We can fix that. For Pete's sake, it's cheaper to put an elevator in someone's home than it is to pay for 1 year in an assisted living. If you know that, you can sell elevators all day long to people. You can still use your master suite upstairs, put an elevator in, you don't have to move. You can have your memories, you can have your neighbors, you can have your friends, you can still have your garden. All those things are still here. And now your home has accommodated you. You don't have to leave. So there's a personal reason that we have to tap into that builds the value of why we're there in the first place and what that financial investment is. So if this made your life better, is that worth anything to you? And all of a sudden people go, well, yeah, of course. Well, of course. Well, good. Then the value of this doesn't have to give us 100% return today. But if you're gonna live in it for 5-10 years, you'll probably get that return on investment financially too. What a great way to take money you have and invest it in yourself and in your financial future. It's brilliant. You can go out and buy land and do the same thing, but for your own well-being, your own mental health, doing this in your home, it's genius. So when someone says, well, I don't know, I don't think we want to do that, I say, why did you buy the Mercedes? I'll literally ask them that. Why did you buy the Mercedes? And they already know they're dog meat at that point. You know, they know where this is going because they go, well, and I say, you know, Buicks are really nice cars and they're pretty inexpensive for what you get. And they go, well, you know, I wanted to have this and I got a good deal on it and you know, all this stuff. It was an end of year sale. Yeah, you still overpaid. I mean, it's not a bad car, I'm not knocking it, but you made a decision to purchase a car that's not gonna give you anything back. So help them start to understand it. It's okay, it's risky, right? When you start poking around and having those conversations, but you're connecting with them and relating to it and do it in a tactful manner, be respectful to it. But why did you buy the Mercedes? And they know where you're going. If they're smart, and they are, most of our clients are very intelligent, they'll know where you're going with it, and it will make an instant connection of value. It really will, in their own buying decision standpoint. I can't tell you how many times it's turned into a design agreement at that point to begin working with them when you just poke around and ask questions. So here's the other thing. I'm gonna hit this thing. Be honest with budget expectations, even if they're not realistic. You ever get that? I had a woman last week that said, we want to blow the walls out, we want to expand the kitchen, we've got this great plan, and she sent it to me and it was like on a napkin, it was not a great plan. and I just said, okay, and I said, have you thought about what you're comfortable investing in this project, you know, since you have these great plans? And she said, you know, our max is gonna be 40,000. And I went, oh my God, like you can't get cabinets for 40,000 and put countertops on it. I mean, unless you went to IKEA, don't get it wet. And and so the question I said is, how did you come up with that budget? She said, that's what we're comfortable spending. I said, so you haven't really based it on any true construction or kitchen or product, right? And she said, well, no, but that's what we want to spend. Well, I want a Lamborghini and I want it for $20,000. Do you think I'm gonna drive off a lot with one that actually works for $20,000? No. So be honest with them, and I did. I said, I've got to be honest with you. Looking at your plans and the stains on the napkin that it's drawn on, I would tell you that I think you're going to be $100,000 to $120,000 somewhere in that ballpark range based on projects I've done that were somewhat similar. Okay, that's the best way I get out of pinpointing a dollar amount based on projects I've done that have some similarities. This is where those projects fell in. So, that's not our budget. We could probably go to 50. And I was like, well, then we probably have to take out a lot. You know, it's just gonna be very difficult. So just be honest with them. It's okay to not get the work. Have you ever put time into something that you right out of the gate in your head or your gut are like, this isn't going anywhere, and then it doesn't for real, and you're like, wow, I'll never get that time back, and I knew better, and nobody won. There's a big drain on life. So if you sense it, like explore it more. Don't be afraid to have the conversations. But also, I've had clients that say I have 40 that then spend 100 because it just didn't know. And that's okay. So if I say, what did you base that on? I don't know. I'm just hoping that's how much it would be. Mm-hmm. Well, if I told you it'd be 100 or 120, I guess we're going to have to adjust our number. Are you comfortable adjusting your number to that range? Yeah, we could do that. Or they're gonna say, no, not at all. Or we'll have to think through some things. That doesn't mean it's a misfit or a bad client. The conversation of trust, remember? Go back to the people who don't care what you know until they know you care. Help them. Help them. You know, we're educators. At the end of the day, we're out there educating a lot of people, and how well we educate also dictates how well we end up getting the byproduct of the sale. So take your time. And then what would you do? You know, I love that question. When homeowners say, what would you do? I'm really transparent and honest about that one. So to be very honest with you, and I have my own story because I remodeled my home. And I went through the whole process of looking at other homes and maybe putting it on the market and maybe buying one, and then we put a 2-story addition on our home. It was a big investment. And everyone thought we were stupid to do it. I mean, my parents thought I had lost my mind. I'm in the business and they thought I lost my mind. And they said, why are you putting that much money into this house? I said, because it's right where I want it to be in the city. I can walk to the market Saturdays. I got the river I can kayak on. There's all this stuff that's here, except the house doesn't work for me. So if I make the house work for me here, and I'm staying here, not selling it next week or next year, it will fulfill the personal need. You spend it on vacations. You go to Africa and Europe and all those things. I can download pictures of tigers and lions and all that stuff all day, and I don't have to run from them. So, you know, there's choices that we make, and I made that choice. And long story short, today I could sell that house and recoup 100% of what I put into it and a lot more. Would have never known it. Got lucky, and a lot of homeowners do because the market's so good right now. Now that could also tank on us in 2 years if things change. But those are the things that we just, what would you do? So I tell my story, because I got my own story. And I tell them, make a pros list and a cons list. Go look at homes. Like, they're amazed sometimes I say, you might want to consider building a house rather than doing this. And I'll tell you how many times it turns into a remodel when I tell them that, a lot, because they know I'm gonna be straight. They just know it. They know I'm gonna shoot straight with them. I don't care about getting the business as much as I care about doing what's right for them. Then the business comes. It's incredible when you get that mentality in. They just want to help you, and they want you to help them. You become their advisor. All right, so setting expectations. This is a little teaser of what we're gonna do this afternoon at the Clear Company, but what is remodeling like? I tell people I'm not a marriage counselor. All right, it's hard. It's gonna try you. If you're gonna live in this house while we tear it apart, if every morning your routine is to get up and you go to the coffee maker in the kitchen and you're bumping into a zipper wall, it's not a great way to start your day. If the two of you, or whoever, the couple, partners, whoever they are living in the house, if there's more than one of them, are they strong? That's important to know, because it's trying. It's exhausting, this process is, of making selections and going through the house being torn apart and figuring out what to do with their cats and which room they're gonna be in, and then someone saying we're gonna be there tomorrow, who calls in the morning and say, sorry, something came up, it's gonna be tomorrow instead. Now, we're supposed to get this thing done. Well, if you've set the right expectations for them, they understand that those things happen. It's construction, it's remodeling, it's 1,000 things trying to go wrong all at one time. We're trying to limit that. That's all we're doing, we're juggling. So talk to them about the day-to-day activity, what to expect. You know, what does a day-to-day, and this is pre-sale, before they paid anything or pre-design. I go into the detail. These are arrows I'm firing. Now, they're gonna say, you know, the common questions, how long will it take? When can you start? You know, everybody asks those questions. I haven't had anyone not ask those questions. What's your process? You know, how do you do things? Those arrows are very commonly fired. But day-to-day activity, one of the things I like to tell them is, there will not be someone at your house every single day. Now, some of you might be set up to do that. We're not. I don't know what we do. I'm not gonna have someone just sit there if we don't have something to do. We have trades, we have inspections, we have all these things. So it's not like TV. There's not someone in your home every single day. When I tell you here's our start week and here's our completion week, keep your eye on the prize, all right? What happens in between? It's making sausage, all right? Now, unless you're a vegetarian, when you take sausage and you throw it on a frying pan and you cook it, there's nothing that smells better, maybe bacon, all right? But you got sausage, it smells so good, and you get it off the griddle and you cut it and it's so delicious, and everyone loves sausage. If you ever see sausage being made, you'll never have another sausage again. So remodeling is an awful lot like that. They're watching us make sausage right there in front of them in their home. And so They get to see what goes into it. They get to see all those things that experience. It's construction. I remind them that it is construction. So you're gonna walk into a room where you see wires hanging from the ceiling. You're going to see nails sticking out. You're gonna see insulation that might be missing from a wall cavity for a temporary period of time. You might see floorboards that are damaged or broken. It's okay, it's construction. That's what you should expect to see. Setting expectations, telling what they're gonna see, what it's gonna be like. Are you sure that you wanna do this? I've asked them, are you sure you really wanna go through this? They usually say, yeah, of course. Okay, so we got more to talk about that. Trade availability. That's pretty easy, right? Just pick up the phone, call someone, they'll be there this afternoon. You guys don't have a problem with that, right? All your trades are there when you call them?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, they're just waiting for.
Yeah, products are available, right? Nothing is. COVID put a ripple in things, and the demand, there's this big snowball effect that we have from the demand that was already strong pre-COVID. There was a month and a half little lapse where everyone's trying to feel this thing out and go, what in the world's gonna go on in this world? Well, we kept going. New building industry was at an all-time high. Remodeling was an all-time high in history for new build construction. Unfortunate thing is, plants have had restrictions on employees in there. You get employees who get sick, so it affects everybody. The plants shut down. Well, the plants shut down, they're not making anything that we need. So we start to get behind. So COVID isn't an excuse for why we're running behind. The market, the conditions, COVID, all of those things combined are impacting what we're trying to juggle for a homeowner at this day and age. So their decision-making is really, really important that they can make these decisions right here. When do decisions need to be made and what's the impact? Anybody ever have a client that's like, I don't know, I don't know. I kind of like that one. I kind of like that one. Let me think about it. With cabinets, they do it all the time. I know you know. Where they go back and forth and they're like, no, let's put this insert there. No, let's make this a drip. Right.
Oh, God.
They go into they can't make a decision. So the more indecisive somebody is, and I tell it to them, if you're indecisive, we could have some challenges. So we need to be, here's your timeline for making decisions. If your decisions aren't made by here, I'm gonna push your start date. Because I just don't wanna sit in your house with it torn apart. You're gonna get mad at me for you not making decisions. So we've gotta have you make decisions. So all of these things we talk about, the lead times and how they've been impacted, when the decisions changes along the way. I say, please don't go changing the project. There's that when in Rome moment that everybody has where they're like, it's exciting, the dust is flying, everything's torn apart. They're like, maybe you should do the powder room right now. And you go, don't do the powder room right now. You know, that's not part of our plan. So when you interrupt our plan, it's the wrench in the gears that extends our construction timeline. You'll forget that we're on time because we originally told you we'd be done here, but you added something that extended time. Even if you capture that and say, okay, this adds 3 weeks to that end date, right? Got it? And you go, And then you get past that original date and they're like, well, you guys are running behind. I can't tell you how many times homeowners done that. And then you go back and you show them the paperwork and then they're just like, oh, I don't remember signing that. I mean, there's just been, that kind of stuff is just so frustrating in our industry. So I try to have people make as best they can, get their decisions out of the way. If you're thinking of any other projects, right now is the time to talk about it, okay? Not once we're in your house, tearing it apart. Now, there are those discoveries we make when we open a will, we find an opportunity that's different. But taking on another full bath, I had that happen last year on a project where our plumber was out there doing the plumbing and they said, we think we want to do the full bath. I'm like, you want me to design it and have the plumber come back before the end of the week to get this in so he can get the rough permit approved? Killing me. And then they couldn't make a decision, on the budget. I'm like, guys, I hate doing that stuff. It drives me nuts. So investment factors that vary, those are the things that the investment can vary based on product that they choose. I tell them, here's how you can impact the investment of the project. You leave the wall, you take the wall out and you put a beam below the ceiling. It's gonna be visible, but it's less than recessing it into the ceiling because it's more invasive, there's more structure, there's more engineering, it takes more time. So walking through some of the variables that impact the investment when it comes to design or implementation of a plan can dictate where that cost goes. So it's all life's a series of trade-offs. And so Papa always said. Now, this is important. Look for the red flags. All right, you're gonna see this afternoon as well. Dave Fox, in my very first year, years and years ago, back when the man Dave Fox was around, he retired in 2005. So when I was working with him, he said, Bryce, sometimes the best deal you make is the one you walk away from. I've never forgotten that, because there was a job that we had, and my sales mentality was, we have to sell it. And we walked out of the appointment, we didn't sell it, and he said, I didn't want to sell it. I said, what do you mean? He said, sometimes the best deal you make is the one you walk away from. There are too many red flags. There are too many things that set the company up for failure, that set production up for failure. There are too many things that I noticed with that person that concerned me, that could jeopardize our way of doing business. And at that point I went, genius. It was smart, right? You want to align your company, you want to align your teams with the best people possible. If you're salespeople and you're the one out there aligning the company with your clientele, it falls on your shoulders when you get a good or bad client. Like, that's yours. Because you made the decision, and there are a lot of times you can see some of these red flags. So some to look for are, so first off, does the prospect appreciate what you're telling them? Sometimes people are like, thank you, this is really helpful. You're the most thorough person we've ever had out here. I hear it all the time. You took your time to really understand this. They're appreciative. Or do they dismiss your reality and tell you their expectations? You ever have that one? Where they're like, well, here's what we need you to do, okay? And that's sometimes where I go, well, I think this company is set up to do that. They're not a NARI member. So, good luck. Are they distracted while you're educating them? Are they doing this? Yep, hang on a second. I had a woman once that took 5 or 6 calls, and after the 5th call, I just said, look, I don't think we're a good fit, because this takes a lot of attention and focus, and it looks like you have priorities elsewhere, so I just need to bow out. Well, what do you mean? I had you out here, you know, I reserved time for you. And I said, I did too, but I don't think you did reserve time for me, because you really haven't had time for me since I've been here. And it's frustrating when people don't treat you like a professional, because we are a professional industry, and you can be honest and you can be respectful to people, but that would have been a disaster right there if I had that client and I needed their attention, I needed them focused on a critical issue, because you know darn well, this is the easiest part right here. When we're meeting and talking, everything's like, oh, this is gonna be great, it's visionary. It's not the reality of what's happening. So I need to have people that are focused. Do they simplify the project? When you get these calls, they're like,
Yeah.
just taking a wall out, simple, easy project.
Yeah.
Baloney.
So I started asking them other questions about like, well, we want to respect your time. Is there a certain time that you need this project done by? Oh yeah, I've got a graduation party in June.
Bzz.
In the interest of honesty and to respect your time, we are not going to be able to hit that deadline. And so I just find another way out.
Yeah, that's good, because that
Another
one's
one-
coming up.
Another one I have is they disrespect the salesperson, the designer's time before they even get the appointment set.
Yeah.
Well, I had one client who ended up being a complete nightmare. And she said, well, I need them to come out after 5 o'clock because we work.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's.
I told
we
them,
do
I
too.
said, you're welcome to call them back, but I would not take that appointment. And it's still going on. And I
Yeah.
usually flush it.
Red flags, I'll tell you, there's, your brain is in 3 locations in your body. I don't know if y'all know this, but you have the bigger portion here, you have some brain cells in your heart, and you have them in your gut. So when you have that gut feeling, there literally are brain cells distributed throughout your body. And that gut is your brain telling you something ain't right. This doesn't feel right. And so when you get that gut feeling, that is an intuitive part of your brain that's saying, makes me queasy, run. So it's okay. When people say that to me, after 6 or on weekends, I go, shoot, they're not gonna be able to meet with our vendors anyway.
Right.
I mean, so I can't send them out. I'm not gonna ask my vendors to stay late for these people and go look at credit.
Yeah.
No, they don't do that. So it's already not a good fit. And a lot of times I'll test that and I'll say, well, here's the thing. I have 3 daughters, so my real job starts at 6. So I have to get appointments done between 8 and 5, and on weekends we're running ourselves ragged with sports. So it's a test when that happens. They either go, I totally get it, we've got kids, we know what you mean. I'll tell you what, my husband and I are both home on Fridays, we work from home. It's amazing when they open things up for you, when you just relate to them and say, I got a life too. So don't want the sale so bad you're changing everything to make yourself miserable. Or if they say, well, I just can't do it, I'm gonna need you to come at these times or you're not gonna get the job. I'll say, well, I understand. Because I don't want it, that's a big red flag right there. If someone's gonna take a stance that firm, and I'll just say, unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna be a good fit. Because our families are important to us, just as our clients are. So, we move on. So that, good example. Do they share a budget with no supportive reasoning? That happens where there's like, I don't know. Well, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I can find it. Do they have a deadline for the project? That whole graduation party, or we got a wedding here, or they're telling you that it has to be done by this date, run.
Yeah.
Because I also say, well, then you have to have every decision and sign a contract by this date. Can you do that? Because it's the only way that we're gonna be able to do this, and I can't even guarantee it because we haven't developed the project yet. We don't even know what the project is, other than you said you wanna put an addition on. So I'm really nervous if they said graduation of 2022, and they're telling me that now, I wanna talk. Cause I think we can get that done.
Yeah.
But if they're saying this June, the guy called me this week, said, I need it completed by June.
Yeah.
And I said, which June? And, and he said, well, this June, of course. And I said, you won't find anyone available. And if you do, be careful. Because if someone is available to have your project completed by June, they're ready right now. There's a reason that they shouldn't be. You probably can't even get material by then to construct it. So, kill it if you need to. Fire an arrow in the job. That last arrow, you got an arrow to say, I don't think we're a good fit. Don't be afraid to fire it. Align with the right people, help them align with the right people. It's not your problem if the two of you can't find a way to fit. It's not about, dang it, I lost this one. No, we're not aligned right. It's okay. It's okay to move past somebody. And then you get to this point, so this is wrapping it up. Make it easy for them to take the next step. You're worth it, so charge for it. I'm not a big fan of going out and giving free design to anybody. If they want my expertise, charge them for it. If they don't respect that and say, well, I've got 3 people not charging us for design, say you get what you pay for. If you want me to take this as seriously as you want me to, I want you to take it that seriously too. The way to do that is invest in this, because I know I'm worth it. And they go, okay, or they say, well, let me see what I get back from these other 3 people. I've been waiting on this one guy who said he'd have it last week, and he's still not here. Well, he has no incentive. It's a numbers game for anybody who does that. It's a percentage game. We're gonna design this many, 20% stick, 80% go away. I'd rather do 80% of my time stick and lose 20% because they just decide not to do the project, but get paid for 100% of it. I can tell you I'm worth it. Set expectations for when you'll have the next communication. Own it. So if someone says, well, we'll call you in 2 weeks. How many of you drop it there and say, okay, I'll wait to hear from him for 2 weeks? I own the next step, and I would tell you, always own the next step. Say, great, I'll tell you what, if I don't hear from you in 2 weeks, I'll call you that following Monday. That fair? That's exactly how I say it. That fair? And they'll say, yeah, that sounds good. Put it on your calendar, plan to call them at that time if you haven't heard anything. If they say, well, no, you just wait to hear from me, don't call me, like that's only happened 2 or 3 times, someone I don't want anyway. There's a relationship that you're building, and if they want it to be a one-way relationship, it's not ever gonna be a fit. It isn't for me. I don't know, you have your own businesses, but I don't think that's typical. Do what you say you're gonna do and say when you say you're going to do it. So if you tell them, hey, I'll follow up with you if I don't hear from you in 2 weeks, follow up with them in 2 weeks. Show them, I'm gonna do what I said I'm gonna do, even if you didn't. I get you get busy. I get you're thinking about it. I get you're talking to 4 other people. I get you probably like someone better than me. It happens most of the time anyway. So I don't say that out loud, right? But in my head, I think these are all the possible scenarios, but I'm gonna at least do what I said I was gonna do. So if you go through all of this, okay, so this is selling to, this is trying to get them in the door. You do all these things I just mentioned, or a combination of them, you'll watch your conversions improve. You really will. Because you just gotta relax in it. I mean, this is a hard business. We should really enjoy it. And we should really help our clients enjoy it and align yourself with the right people. And I think a lot of you do that really well right now as well. But we wanna make it easy for them to do business with us. That is all I have. I know I ran over, and I've gotta get to Delaware. So are there any questions, comments any of you have?